Right, so now I'm recording. So for the Northrup YF-23, first thing first, we need to go over and take a look at the blueprint. The blueprint is available in this collection here. So I don't really have a lot of pictures, a few pictures of the aircraft here. So first thing we want to do is prepare the blueprint in an image editor, in Photoshop in this case. So while waiting for Photoshop to load up, one of the things we need to take note is where are the bumps and where are the depressions. So if you take a look at this shape here, you notice that this is an ovoid shape, and then the cross section of it looks like a diamond when you look at it from this direction here. And then we have two boosters, or rather the jet engines, right, which will bump up like that if you look from the front like this. So one of the things is, before we actually start, we have to like pre-visualize what this aircraft actually looks like. Another way would be to go to a 3D site, go and take a look at the actual model, because this is quite a common 3D model which you can find on websites like Sketchfab. Okay, Sketchfab, you can easily find a 3D model, so you can go around and take a look at this model. So the blueprint here, it can look a little bit deceptive because quite a lot of the top parts here, right, are not really shown that much. So I think I might need to go and find other blueprints online. Okay, so sometimes one image is not enough. You need to find a lot of references. So I'm going to look for YF-23 blueprints, and you can see there are many blueprints available, especially on Google. And some of the blueprints are a little bit better quality, like this one. We can see the bump, or even this one which is painted. Okay, we can see the bump of the jet engines very clearly. Okay, even this one over here. All right, so we want to filter to look for higher resolution images. So I'm gonna just search for only large images. And let's take a look at this one. This one, unlike the reference drawing that we have, shows the top part of the engine a little bit clearer. So let's see whether I can extract the high resolution image of this. So I'm going to open image in new tab. Okay, it seems that it's not a very high resolution image. I'm going to try this one instead and see whether I can have any better luck. Okay, this one also is a little bit low res. Let me try to click on this link. And let's see. Okay, it seems that I might have to pay for this image. Now let's go and look for other images. Okay. Okay, unfortunately I can't seem to be able to download the high-res image. Okay, maybe this one. I might be forced to use this one instead. Let me take a look at this open image in new tab. So hopefully this is a larger image. Again, still it is a very small image. I'm not sure why I'm getting all these very bad drawings. So I'm going to try one more time, just why to be more specific, just drawings. Okay, open image in new tab. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, so this is the largest drawing that I can find. I think I'll take this one instead of the one that I have, because it has a nicer definition on this area here. So I'm going to save this image. So this is a GIF image. I'm going to save it in my Scene Source Images folder. And I'm going to open this up in Photoshop. And I'm going to reprocess this image. Because this is a GIF image, you have to go to image mode. You have to change it into RGB so that we can resize it, we can change the color, whatever. Then next, go to image, canvas size, increase the canvas size so that it becomes a square image. So just copy the longest length and replace it with the shortest. Click OK. Just fit it on the screen. And I'm just going to make sure and see that the image is not tilted. You can see right over here, this particular image is a bit crooked. Right, so I'm going to straighten this image a little bit so that our reference will be more accurate. So we're going to use the ruler tool. The ruler tool is under the eyedropper tool here. Just click and hold, use the ruler tool. Okay, and then we're going to zoom in so that we can find that straight line on the ground here. Use the ruler tool, start from this line here, drag and straighten it. No, we'll measure the sort of like drag the ruler over the straight line. Then we're going to go to image rotation, and then click on arbitrary, and it will detect the amount of angle, right, to rotate to straighten. Just click OK, and now we have straightened the image, and it should be ready for reference. Another thing I want to check is make sure the length of this top view and then the front view, right, actually matches. So I'm dragging a couple of guidelines. So make sure you turn on your rulers by clicking Ctrl R, and then click on the ruler to drag out these lines using the cursor key. And then we are going to just use our selection tool, and actually I want to change to my lasso tool. Just click and hold and use the polygonal lasso tool, and just carefully select the reference, and then we're going to use the move, and then cut and move it. Use your cursor key to move it until the nose touches the blue line, and then if the length matches, that means we have a good reference. Okay, so I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees. So press Ctrl T, and then holding down to Shift, we're going to rotate it upside down. Then use the cursor key to line up the nose and the tail. Okay, so I'm just doing a little bit of adjustments so that everything matches. So later on, when I bring this into Maya, right, everything will line up nicely. So just want to verify, make sure that the leading edge matches the trailing edge. Okay, and then the wing chord, all these matches. Okay, great. So now I've already converted this into a square image. Just going to zoom out a little bit, and then I will export this image. Export as, I'm going to export it as a JPEG. Okay, remember you have to convert this GIF into a RGB before you can do this. And I'm going to export it as a JPEG, and I'm going to use about, okay, maybe, yeah, slightly lower compression. And we're going to export it into our source images location here. Then I'll save. Now we can jump into Maya now, and we're going to import in our image. Let me just set my project, make sure it's in the correct location. Yep. Then I will import in the image. Shift right mouse click, create a plane, go over to the channel box, click under the inputs, hold down the Shift to select these two, then middle mouse click and drag to the left until it becomes one. Width and height, hold down the Shift to select these two, middle mouse click and drag so that we have a large reference. Then right mouse click, assign a new material, use the surface shader. We're going to press number 6 to turn on texture mode first. Then go to surface shader, click on out color, click on the checker box, click on file, and then bring in the image, YF-23 JPEG, and then click open, and we should see the image all nice line up nicely for us. Okay, so remember this, our aircraft should always be pointing down in the Z axis. So we're going to line up the top view first. So go over to the top view, select the image plane, press E to go to rotate, holding down to J to go to snap mode, and then rotate this 90 degrees. Right, press W, then move this until the nose and the tail is lined up in the center. Okay, so we have a slight issue over here. I realized that although our front view is straightened, it seems that our top view right now is not straightened. So I'll have to go and do a little bit of manual rotation. I'm going to do a bit of fine rotation, so I'm going to click on plus to increase the size of my manipulator, press E to rotate, select the plane. Okay, and then I'll just rotate this until the top view is lined up. Okay, so press W to move and just move it until the center line cuts through all these details. It seems I need to rotate. Actually, no, I don't need to rotate. I just need to move a little bit to the, okay, just need to zoom in a little bit. Okay, I think this is good enough. I think I still have to rotate just a little bit more. Press E to rotate. Press plus to increase the size of manipulator so that you can rotate it at a much finer level. And then I can just move this until it perfectly cuts in the center. So I might have to do the same thing for the side view later on. But for the side view, I can use this ground plane as my reference. And so far, it looks like the side view is the ground plane is actually lined up with the grid. So this is good. Okay, so we have our image for the top view reference lined up. So what I'm going to do right now is going to press D, pressing down D, and then so that I'll go into pivot manipulation mode, holding down the X, just snap this, press W to go to move, press D, then holding down to X and going to snap D. Okay, I actually want to move this, not rotate, so press W, holding down to X and then snap this. Okay, press D again one more time. Okay, grab the move arrow, holding down to X and then have it snap to the center here like that. Okay, the reason why I can't snap it is because my manipulator was too big, so I had to press minus to reduce the size. Press D to get out. Okay, so now we have the top view lined up nicely. So right now I'm going to go to push it down in the y-axis. I'm going to duplicate this view, Shift D, so that I have another one, and then I'll press E to rotate, holding down to J, rotate it sideways, 90 degrees. So I'm going to go to right view. So now I'm going to align this side view. So right now it seems to be cutting through the center. So I'm going to press W, push it back a bit. Just going to make sure the top view that it is actually rotated slightly. So I'm going to rotate this so that it is nice and flat. Okay, for this one I'll need to use my channel box to help me. Yeah, so minus, let's see, this is the, yeah, so this one I have to press minus 90. Okay, so the side view now should be nice and flat. Okay, now go over to the right view. Now we're going to align the side view. So press W, move this down until we are here. So you notice that right now the ground plane is a little bit crooked, so I will have to rotate this view. So I'm going to move the pivot point here. So press D, grab the arrow, and then just move it right over here for now. And then press D to exit. Then I'm going to press E, press plus, E for rotation, then press plus to increase the size of this reference. And then press W, and then just bring it down. Okay, now you can see that the ground plane is lined up nicely with this. Okay, so our side view is more or less lined up. Okay, now for our front view, we're going to switch over to the top view here. I'm going to duplicate another view, Shift D, then rotate this 90 degrees. Right now my manipulator is too big, so press minus in the number row. Press on minus to reduce the size, holding down the J and rotate this 90 degrees, holding down the J again and rotate this 90 degrees forwards. Okay, so I'm going to zero out the Y degrees here, so it should be nice and flat. So now I should go over and take a look at the front view. Grab this, move this until the ground plane matches this. And because we straightened this in Photoshop, it should be nice and flat here. Okay, our front view, I'm going to move my pivot point, press D, move the pivot point right about here. We can hold on to X and have it snap to this location, then press D to pick it out. Okay, so our front view is now aligned. The next step is to trim our reference. We'll start from the top view. Okay, right mouse click, go over to face selection mode. Hold on to control, and then we just kind of cut here, here, here. Then we're going to select the center face. Then go to select inverse, and then delete. Then we can go and go back to object mode. Now, same thing for the side view. Go to the right view. Hold down the shift right mouse click, multi-cut. Holding down the control and left mouse click. Cut across this line, cut across this line. Press Q to select. Select this face, select inverse. I'll control shift I and then delete. Right mouse click, go to object mode. Go over to the front view now. Select the front view plane, shift right mouse click, multi-cut, holding down control. Cut this top view, the bottom view, and this direction here. Go back to select, press Q, select the front view. Okay, maybe one more area here I want to trim. Holding down shift right mouse click, multi-cut, trim here. So press Q to select this face, control shift I to inverse, and delete. Alright, so now we have created our lineup. We have to do one more check to make sure all the lineup matches, especially the front view and the side view. So for the front view, we're just going to temporarily pull it up to this direction, and then make sure that the wingtips, alright, the wingtips, oops, you should never move the top view forwards or backwards, only up and down. Only the front view can be moved forwards and backwards. So just want to make sure that the wingtip matches. We can see that the positioning or the scale maybe of the front view is maybe slightly off. Okay, just want to make sure that all my references matches. Like this is the, okay, I should not move this up and down, only the, alright, so right now it appears that the top view might be scaled down a little bit narrow to the side. Okay, so maybe we will have to scale our, okay, I just want to verify to check that the canopy size is correct. Well, the pivot, or rather the width, okay, the width of the cockpit seems to be okay. All right, let me just move this down a little bit more, right about here. Okay, the maximum width is here. All right, so maybe the front view drawing, the wingtips are a little bit longer, slightly. So there is one area that we need to take note of. So because these are drawings, sometimes they might not be drawn as accurately as we want it to be. But you can see from the front view here, the cockpit area, the size is the same. So I'm going to ignore the size difference for the wingtips. Okay, for the wingtips we can adjust that later. Okay, but for essentially the front and side, the front and the top view are matched. Now let's match the side and the front, which essentially should match. Okay, it's slightly off. You can see that because of the earlier rotations, right, the length, okay, we shouldn't move this up and down, only sideways here. Only the front view can be moved up and down. Right, so you can see the side view has to be pushed back so that it lines up. Okay, the reason why it's out of alignment is because we had to do a bit of rotation earlier on to straighten out the top view and our side view. So if we have done this earlier on in Photoshop, right, then we would not have this issue. Okay, but the only part that I've straightened is our front view. Okay, right now it seems okay. The side view and the front view are lined up, so I can now push this to the back. So this lineup portion is very important. So if you do not do your lineup properly, you will not be able to model everything. So we can actually start to do our blocking, but let me just rename everything first. This is our top reference. This one is my side reference, and this is my front view. Front ref, okay. I'll select all of these views and then I'll place them in a its own layer by clicking on this button here and rename this. I'll call this reference, and I'll give it a blue color and then save. Then I can click on the third button here until it changes into R so that it becomes a reference and I will not be able to select and move it. So let me just save this first. Save scene as YF-23 YF-23 underscore blocking. Let's see. Alright, so we already identified several parts here. We have this cockpit area, which is like a, if you look at the front here, it's like a diamond shape like that with this bucket shape. Right, it looks like a bathtub shape. So we're just going to block out this section here first. So we'll start off with a cube. All right, and I'm going to assign the cube with a semi-transparent material. So right mouse click, assign new material, a Lambert, and give it a maybe a cyan green color, and then give it some transparency, and we can start to block out this cube. So the first area that I want to block out is to scale up. Okay, to scale, usually I'll do it in component mode. So select all the vertices, scale this up. Okay, and then in my right view, I'll temporarily go to object mode first, and then just move this right here. Okay, grab the front vertices and move it until it is about the length of this cockpit area. So I'm going to use my top view here, and it ends about here. Okay, so I'm going to split this cube right in the center. So holding down the control and then middle mouse click, and I'm just going to create a mirror object. So go over the face section, select half of these faces, and delete it. Right, so we got half of this. Then I'm going to duplicate special. Create an instance -1 in the scale. So this is my previous setting, so I'm going to duplicate. Okay, I need to do that in object mode. So edit, duplicate special, just straight away. Duplicate special, so now we have two sides which will correspond to one another. Alright, so now go back to vertex mode, select all the vertices. I'm going to scale it so that it fits the size of the cockpit. Alright, and I'm going to look for transition area. There's one transition here, one transition here, one transition here. So just insert the edge loop of where there is a transition. For me, transition means that there's a change in the profile. Right? I know that this thing tapers down all the way, so without adding too many vertices, I'll just start to block out the shape first. These two should be about here. Then this one should be lower, and then these two should be scaled inwards like that. Then one more transition at the top of the cockpit here, right about here. Press Q to select, grab these vertices, press W, and then pull it out like that. Alright, so far we have this shape. Okay, so now we want to take a look at it from the top view. So you can see that it comes out quite widely, and we want to insert one edge loop that runs across here in the center. So I'm going to insert one edge loop in the middle. So holding down control and middle mouse click, and what we want to do is we want to straighten this edge loop out. So press Q, go to edge mode, double click on this, press R, and then flatten this, press W and bring it down. Okay, we just want to have it straightened, and then we are going to pull out only the side view here so that it matches the profile here. Okay, but rather than pulling out all of this, we are just going to pull out these two first. Just pull it out like that, and then right now I'm just pulling it out based on the angle here. Okay, so if you want to see it in shaded mode, one way would be to select both of these and press edit, duplicate special. Make sure you duplicate an instance, but make sure that the scale is 1:1:1. So these are more, this extra model, right, is more for me to apply a Lambert 1 material so that I can see what it looks like. I'm going to turn on my wireframe on shaded, which is under shading, wireframe on shaded, or this button here. So I can see clearly whether my topology is working. Alright, so at this low resolution level, now I can start to do my adjustments. Grab the vertices here and then push it down here. This one should be much closer here. And we can start to align the sideway motions here until they form the shape that we want. And go over to the front view. And generally speaking, our profile shape is looking quite okay. Alright, so at the bottom here, you notice that there's this section that pulls out quite a bit. So we can grab the vertices here and then pull it out until it matches the profile. So if you look at my model, right, it is very low resolution. Okay, for blocking, right, you always want to keep everything at a low resolution first. You don't want to add too much detail. Okay, so for this shape for the cockpit area is good enough for now. Okay, now we have to go and stare at or look at more pictures of the YF-23. So if you go and search for pictures, especially the underside, so you have to be very specific with the images, or rather with your descriptions. Okay, so I'm going to see whether I can download a high-res image here. Okay, this is an excellent reference. So we can see that the wing, right, is one continuous piece, right, that joins here, and then we have a jet intake that splits into these two vents here. So I'm going to save this image, and I'm going to use it as my reference. Okay, let's see what else, what other images do we have. Okay, this is a plastic model kit, and it also offers some good references. And this image here, I believe this is a 3D render. Okay, I'll try not to use a 3D render. I'll try to use the actual photographs as much as possible. So I'm just going to look for YF-23, try to get more images. Okay, this one is good. Okay, this is a closer of the tail section. Okay, let me see where I can download this image. So open image in new tab. Yes, this is a very good image. Okay, I'm gonna save as image type. Okay, you need to have a plug-in, right, to do this when you are downloading the WebP image. So you need to install a download as. Okay, there should be another image where it shows the front. Let me see. Okay, you always want to try to get as much reference images as possible. Okay. Alright, so I think we have enough images for the time being, but just want to try to get some more images. Okay, I'm trying to get more images around this area here. So okay, this is a video still. Okay, but it's showing me some references here. I'm gonna just open image in new tab and save image as. Okay, so most of the important images I already downloaded. One of the ones that I want to pay close attention to is this one over here. Okay, you can see here is relatively flat and is quite angular, so this is a good reference for the bottom part of the plane. And you can see here there's a slight depression that goes inward slightly, and this arrow I guess it indicates the center of gravity. So I'm studying this image and I'll see how I'm going to approach my the rest of the blocking. Okay, so now that I got enough information, just jump back to Maya. Here we know that the bottom there is relatively flat and that the wing is over this jet intake area here. Alright, so okay, let's start by producing the wing. Now the wing can be modeled separately, but for my case here I'm going to try to extract the wing right from this section here so that I can extend it all the way to the back. So right now if you take a look at this model, this 3D model, there's just not enough faces, right, that we can extract out. So one trick that you can use is to double click to select this entire edge loop and then just bevel it. Okay, so just increase the bevel, and then now we have this extra faces that we can use to pull out the wing section here. So let's see where the wing starts. That's where we're going to insert the edge loop. So let's go to the right view and we're going to insert one edge loop right about here, because this is where the wing will start. Alright, and the wing is a very diamond shaped wing. So first I'm gonna just shape the cross section of the wing. You can see the part here is very very thick in the center here. Okay, so I will have to extend maybe the let's look from the top view here. Yeah, because so far my model is extended all the way here, but the wing is coming up all the way from here. So I'll have to somehow extrude another section of the face to extend all the way to the back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this face here, this one, and I'm just going to extrude it all the way back. So press W, holding down the shift, and then pull it all the way back. That will extrude out another face, and then we can flatten this. Alright, and I'm going to delete away the central faces here. This one, and this one. Delete it because we are going to be joining them together. Okay, right now, in order to preserve the flow of the topology, let me just pull this back a little bit. And okay, press F so that we can come to this section. So I'm going to rebuild this section here, holding down the shift and extrude, and then going to edge, select these two edges here, shift right mouse click and bridge them together. Then make sure that we remember to merge the vertices. Right, I think there are two vertices here. Okay, in order to check whether you got two or one, make sure you turn on display, heads up display, poly count, so you can see how many vertices are selected. So just now earlier on I've extruded out a section. You can see that it says here 8 are selected because it's mirrored. So I'm going to merge these vertices together, just merge the center, so there should be 4 now. Same for this one. You can press number 4 and then merge the vertices. Now the reason why it says 4, I'll explain later. Merge center. The reason why it says 4 is because remember we have another reference that is selected. That's why it is counting 1, including the mirror, and then 3, 4. So in reality, right, we are only selecting one vertex right now. So you just want to make sure that these vertices are merged together. So now these two here, and press G to repeat last command so it will merge. Then you should be seeing 4. What about this one? 4. Okay. So now we created the shape that we want. Now I can select the 3 faces here and then extrude it. So press W, holding down the shift. Increase the size of the manipulator. Holding down the shift and then pull it back up. Then we're going to take a look at the top view. And I'm just going to temporarily move these to follow the profile first. And we're going to insert edge loops here to reshape this section here. Okay, I've never modeled this particular aircraft before, so this is actually the first time I'm modeling this. But I will just, right now I have to do some cleanup. Every time you extrude in the center, right, you will create all these internal faces. So I'm going to temporarily hide this, go to object mode, temporarily hide this one. Just press H to hide it. Then go and select these central faces and delete it away. Alright, so it is very important you do that, otherwise, right, when you, if you plan to subdivide this, you might end up with all these internal faces that has this, what we call the non-manifold issues. Okay, so now we have the extra faces over here. We have more than enough faces to pull out not only the wings, but also have the tail elevons, or I would say rudder vators, because it's a combination of rudder and elevator. Okay, so right now I have enough detail here to pull out the wing. So I will need to insert one edge loop here. Okay, the edge loop, okay, it's actually, okay, because this is a triangular face, so it forms only a single edge. Okay, that's fine. But I will actually want the faces to cut all the way across. So let me just manually cut this. Okay, press enter. Alright, and then I'm going to continue cutting from here all the way to here. Okay, I need to finish the cut here. Right, I accidentally ended up creating another vertex here, so I'm going to delete away this vertex. Alright, so I'm going to grab these row of vertices here, go to the side view, press R to scale, and then just flatten them. Okay, so now I got the edge loop that I want. Can now grab these two vertices and just scale them so that it match the thickness of the wing. And this section here, let me see, perspective view. Right, the wing comes out from here, so I'm going to insert one edge loop right about here, and then press Q to select and flatten this by using R, scale, and then push this back a bit. So this is where the trailing edge of the wing will come out from. Okay, so we have the trailing edge here, so this vertices here should be slightly lower. This one should be slightly thicker here. And the leading edge should be sharper here. Right. So right now we have the basic shape, so we can start to pull out the wing. Well, based on this, we can now pull out the wing. So holding down the shift and in move, we can just grab the arrow to pull out the wing. So if we look at the top view, we can use this to scale this down, and then press W and then push it back into place. Okay, and I think I've made a mistake here. My leading edge should be here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I missed this face, so let me just undo that. Undo, and yeah, I forgot to select another additional face here. Now, this shaded model, these two shaded models, I push them further away. And let's redo our scaling. So actually the leading edge is here. Leading edge is like the front of the wing of an aircraft. So this area needs to be thicker a bit more. and holding down shift and then select these group of faces. So, and this one as well. Yeah, so now we have the entire side profile of the wing selected, and we can extrude it out, holding on the shift. Let's go to the top view first. Holding on the shift, and then we're going to extrude one section straight parallel like this, and we can use scale to scale it inwards, and then use the move to move it until it matches the same thickness here, like that. Then after that, we can, holding on to shift again, extrude out another section that will form the main section of the wing, like this. And then press R and then scale this up until it matches the top view. So of course the wingtip, right, this profile needs to be much thinner. So I'll just scale this down until it's almost razor shape. Okay, so now we have the wing. Now if you want the wing to be rounded even more, we will have to insert one more edge loop in the center here. But since we are only at the blocking stage, we can probably do that later. Right, so now let's look at the top view, and in actual fact, I should have pulled out another section here so that we can form the rudder vators, okay, which combination of rudder and elevator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete away this face, select this face here, hold down the shift and extrude, and then I will merge these two faces together, or rather the vertices. You can select this vertex, holding down the V, vertex snap it to this location, holding down the V and vertex snap. Select these two group of, select this two group of vertices, and we can try merge by distance. Merge by distance. So make sure the, okay, so now these should be merged. Okay, I'm only still selecting, wait, let me just check, make sure that they are merged together. Yeah. Okay, good. Alright, so now we have enough faces, right, to form this rudder vators. So let's go to the top view and see where the rudder vator starts. The rudder vator starts about here, so I'm going to move this vertex here, this vertex here. Alright, so in order to pull out the rudder vator, we need to have, because the rudder vator, the cross section of the rudder vator is also this shape, okay, from the top view, right, I'm going to draw it in a very exaggerated shape. So this is like, you need to create that airfoil section. So I'm going to insert one edge loop right about here so that I can scale these two up, like so, so that later when I pull out the rudder vators, right, they will correspond with this shape. So now I can select these two faces, okay, and then I will pull out and then push up the shape. I also can rotate it slightly like this and use my front view to reference the angle, okay, by grabbing and moving the faces into place. I can also use the scale tool to taper the rudder vators, and then in my top view use both the move tool to push it back slightly here, right about the center here, then use the scale to scale it inwards. And you notice that there's a sharp edge that angles sharply towards here. So very simple, just insert one edge loop here, then press Q to select, go over to the vertex mode, push this into place like that, and we have our very low resolution blocking shape done. Okay, now the only other section that we need to pay close attention to is the jet intakes. Okay, we haven't really modeled the jet intakes, and then the engine ports, okay, area where it contains the engine. Okay, there seems to be some issue with the edge loop. I will prefer the edge loop to go all the way across here. And it seems that there's an internal face over here. That's why it didn't go through. So I'll have to go and delete away the internal faces here. This one you have to move in really close. Delete this one. This is what I mean by the non-manifold faces. This one you have to really fly inside the mesh and delete away the internals. So I'm going to try to manually cut the edge loop across. It seems that there is a, okay, wait, this is the outside. Alright, so I will have to insert, no, I have to manually cut. There is no way I can insert. I can cut from here and then all the way to here. Press enter to finish the cut. And one here and okay, I will have to take a look at the shaded view here and see what's going on. Okay, so I had to cut from the other side instead. Right, so, and now the bottom. Alright, so now I want to fix this edge loop. Not these. Not these edges here. I will go to edge mode, holding down the control. These like these edges. Just want to straighten these edges up a little bit. You can press R to scale. And flatten them. Okay, the problem is that it will also move this one. I'm going to undo that. I'm just going to switch to vertex mode instead. These vertices and straighten them and then move them back into place. Okay. Alright, so now we have to focus on trying to create the engine parts. So the engine parts you can see here are made up, if you take a look at the photographs first, back at the photographs, you can see the engine part, right? This section here, it tapers up into almost like a pyramid, and then it bulges outwards. So we have to recreate this shape, okay, and then pull it up from the top. So we're going to use our top view as our guide. So we can see the triangular shape over here, and we can use our knife tool to cut maybe a section from here. You can see that it's tapering down to this section here. So maybe I will just insert one edge loop right about here. Then using my move tool, we can first straighten out these vertices using the scale to just move the vertices into shape. And then this is where the exhaust, or the jet engine exhaust, comes up. So I'm going to scale it up first and then just move it into place. So right now I'm just making sure that the topology lines are in the correct location first. Okay, so right now we have sufficient faces to actually pull out the exhaust. Okay, so what we can do over here is simply grab these vertices, right, and then extrude it out. And then we're just going to scale it up uniformly to form the okay, I need to switch back to this view here. So selecting the top faces here, go over to the front view, then we're going to flatten this. And so you can see here, it needs to be wider until it reaches to this area here. So I'm going to select the top faces, then press Shift full stop to increase selection, press W, and then just grab these faces until it goes up like that, until it's in the same height. And it seems that here, this section here, it widens out a little bit. So I'm just going to manually pull this out slightly, maybe in the center here. So I guess this represents the this line here actually represents the top part of the jet pods, okay, the section containing the jet engines. So I'm just moving them according to the lines here. Okay, so let's take a look at the shape now. Alright, the top part here is looking okay. So here we need to make sure that it matches the profile here. This one needs to go down way much more. Like that. Okay, let's take a look at it in the solid form. Alright, it's looking quite okay. So right now I need to create the jet intakes. So since I got enough vertices here, right, I can easily pull out the jet what do you call it, the intakes, or the pipes that form the intakes. So if we take a look at the picture again, right, so you can see that we have enough faces, right, to pull one. There's one face that is right underneath the wing that's relatively straight all the way. So that means this one will be relatively straight from here onwards. Okay, I want to see where the let's take a look at this one. Where does the jet intake engine portion starts? So let's go over to the right view. Okay, it starts right about here. So let's go over the right view, and yeah, so it starts right about here. So I'll mark this vertex, and so I guess this is the phase where it will start to appear. So right now I'm going to use I want the topology to flow so that the jet intake starts from here, but then I want to have a, what do you call that, a section, right, the topology flow where it goes around this way. So looking at this one, I need to cut one edge loop around here. We need to do a bit of reflowing here. Control delete to delete away, to dissolve away, so that now I just want to have the flow of the jet engine, right, or rather the jet intake, to come from here all the way down to here. So Control delete and Control delete. Then I'll use my maybe I'll select this edge loop. I see where does it go. It goes all the way to here. Then I press Control delete, delete away, because I want to reflow this so that it matches the flow of the jet intake. All right. So far so good. Okay, I'm going to use my modeling toolkit, enable this thing called edge slide. Slide this inwards, and And these faces definitely have to come down later. But let's take a look at the picture again. Yeah, the bottom here is pretty much flat. So coming back to this, alright, so I'm trying to move this down. Oops, my slide is still on. Turn this off. Let's move this down so that they are relatively flat like that. And then now I think I should be able to create my jet intake right about here. Okay, so holding down the shift, pull it out to form my jet intake. And then I'll just scale this down and then use the scale tool to flatten them. Again, I'll use my right view to reshape this. Okay, so let's take a look at the front view. Let's take a look at the shaded model. Okay, this area here definitely needs to be higher up a little bit. Okay, the good thing about having this extra model here is that we can have both the transparent model and the shaded model visible at the same time. I'm going to spread this out a little bit using slide edge tool, shift right mouse click, slide edge to the middle mouse, and then just slide these out a little bit. Okay, seems that it's choosing the wrong vertex. Okay, let's see. I'm going to select the wrong one. Alright, so there is an angle for the jet intake, so I'm going to select these and then push it back a bit. If we go to the right view, it should match the angle of the intake. So this one should be about here, this one should be about here, and this one should be right here. Okay, and you can see that generally our aircraft, the blocking shape is there. Then from this stage onwards, right, you can gradually start to add in more and more detail. Okay, adding edge loops or deleting faces. But our basic shape is there. It's just that we have to go and continuously add more adjustments to the shape here. Especially if you look at the right here, this section here, right, should be tapered inwards or like that. Let me just rotate this, and the jet exhaust should be almost like that. And after that, right, we will delete away the faces and then create the exhaust. And there are some topology issues here which needs to be addressed. Okay, we have the multi-sided polygons here. Okay, but at this stage we have achieved the basic shape of the aircraft. Okay, and if you want the cross section to be a little bit rounder, like this section over here, you can insert one more edge loop here, right in the center, middle mouse click, and with these extra vertices we can use that to shape the cockpit section. Okay, maybe one more edge loop here. So you can see all the vertices that has been created here, right, will be touched at least minimally at least once or twice. So yeah, so every time before you add in any more edge loops, you try to move every single of these vertices into its correct location. So if you have pictures of the aircraft, right, it will be a good idea to view them from various angles. That will help you visualize what the aircraft really looks like. Like for example, this one, we can see that this tapers into a sharp corner and then it spreads out into another triangle over here. So going back to our reference here, so it means that this actually will spread out slightly like that. Okay. And then these two here should be closer together. And then using the front view reference again, okay, we can grab this section. This section is probably should be around here. This one should be around here. And then the thickness of the wing and all that should be slightly here. Right, the jet intake, right, should be wider, so you can see from the front view here. So let's see what it looks like shaded. See the bottom section curve here, that means this line and this line here should be wider. Okay, need to reselect these two again on the wireframe version. So that means this one, actually just select this edge here. Then if you go to the front view, it should be much wider like that. And then the jet intake, which form this particular face here, right, it should be matching this profile. So I'm going to move it to here, this one to here. And that's pretty much as much as we can get for blocking this out. So yep, then after that, right, we can start to refine the shape. Okay, make everything rounder a little bit. Things like moving these shapes down a little bit. And yeah, so it's a gradual process. So eventually, right, you will add more and more detail, then until you get the shape of the YF-23 out. Right, let me just switch back to perspective view. Yeah, so yeah, this video has gone long enough, so I will stop the video now.